Chapter 2. Upon entering the event. Who greets you first on arrival? What's the first thing you do when you enter? When does the networking start? Why is it best to come in alone, even if you are together? You will make contacts faster than ever after reading this topic. You will be better able to interact with more people. You will reach a wider audience than you think possible. You will be seen more quickly as a regular guest even if you come for the first time. And it will be easier to talk to those important people. Entering a meeting is a kind of coming home if you have applied Chapter 1 on the preparation with visualization. To a large extent you already have an idea of where you will end up. Of course, there will also be many things that are different than what you have envisioned in your mind, but in general a large number of things will look familiar to you. That makes it easier for you. Focus on what matters. Or rather, who it is. Namely, the people. You may recognize the following from experience of meetings you have attended. At the entrance you stand in line with some people. Some are joking nervously, especially if they have come with 2 or more people. Others say nothing and just look ahead. Still others play restlessly with their phones. In any case, what rarely happens is that at that moment people already make contact with people in a pleasant way. It is something that has often surprised me. Everyone comes to network, but there seems to be some kind of invisible threshold. For that threshold, we are focused on ourselves. Only when we have crossed that threshold can we talk to each other. Do you recognize this? Just watch it. But why am I now paying attention to this recognition around the entrance that I have? I do this to make you aware that if you want to network in a result-oriented way, you must immediately use every chance of contact. And that starts even before you enter. I'll go into how you do that now. When you arrive at the location of the networking meeting, greet everyone in your immediate vicinity with a sympathetic smile, nod and look of recognition. Assume that everyone is coming for the same meeting. And if you kindly smile and nod at people who come for something else, well, so be it. At most, people will be somewhat surprised by your friendly appearance. When you enter, always do so in a courteous manner. Hold the door open for the person behind you. Let the person behind you be courteous to whether it is a lady or a gentleman. Always be polite and sympathetic. Once inside, always pay attention to the venue staff. Show interest in what they do. Be kind with a sincere word of thanks for the good reception. Always be aware that you are a guest. Why is it so important to pay so much attention to the people in your immediate environment immediately upon entering? Perhaps you are now thinking of, nobody does that. You're going to be talking to dozens of people as soon as you get inside. Why all the trouble now? You might even think more negatively and wonder why on earth you should take an interest in the staff. You may even think, they are there for me. They should be glad I'm coming. They must help me. If you think so, then you are really no exception. It is also a bit of this time when courtesy and politeness are no longer so common. And that is precisely the power of why it is so important to be so careful and sympathetic immediately upon arrival. You immediately distinguish yourself as a pleasant person. You immediately notice. And believe me, you stand out to more people than you are in contact with at the time. After all, that's what networking is all about. You have to stand out in a positive way. With courteous, sympathetic, friendly, and polite behavior you stand out in particular today. In addition, every person ultimately likes to be in contact with friendly fellow human beings. Making contact is exactly what we want, but there is more. The people with whom you are in contact immediately upon arrival will help you to serve as a kind of anchor once inside. What I mean by that may require some explanation. If you only enter a room with a lot of people, you don't know what will happen to you. You are well prepared. Visualize the meeting. Feel good and confident. But now you're standing there in real life. Where should you start making contact now? You can of course go up to the first and introduce yourself. But there is a small danger in that. There is a chance that you will linger too long in the place where you start. If the first contact is also pleasant, it can happen that you talk away half an hour of valuable time with one person. There's nothing wrong, but it is not very efficient. What to do then? At the entrance you have already made some contacts with a short greeting or eye contact. You recognize these people. You have also been in contact with a number of staff members. So you quickly have a group of famous people in the picture. And these people recognize you too. What you are going to do now will ensure that you are in conversation with these people and the people around these people in a short time. Instead of one contact in half an hour, you will soon have about 10 contacts in the same time and you will be seen as a regular guest. The first thing you do now is walk through the entire room. Remove yourself as quickly as possible from the people you met at the entrance. Go around the room and see who's there. See if the space matches your visualization. Walk around quietly. Look people in the eye. Nod and smile kindly, but don't start a conversation yet. This is also very difficult if you meet acquaintances. They will want to claim you right away. But for now, keep them at a friendly distance and indicate that you would like to come back to them in a moment. Keep in mind that the goal is to get to know as many new people as possible. What you do next is look for the organizer of the meeting. This is the first person you will actually speak to. Imagine, briefly state why you are at the meeting. Briefly indicate who you would like to speak to, mention a characteristic such as industry or discipline. Thank the organizer very much for all the time and energy for organizing and finish by asking if there is anything you could do for the organizer. You should not let this conversation last longer than a few minutes. The organizer is busy and has a lot on his mind. The most important thing is that the organizer knows who you are and what you are coming for. The word of thanks and the question what you can do for the organizer contribute very well to this. What has happened so far from the entrance to the conversation with the organizer? From now on you are no longer a newcomer in the eyes of everyone else present. Everyone has already seen you through your tour through space. It has been seen that you are talking to the organizer. So you probably know that one. You have ensured that a number of staff members recognize you. So in less than 10 minutes you have become one of the most famous, recognizable people. Because of your tour you have now been in the picture of almost all those present and you have thus laid a foundation for coming into contact with new people much more easily. Why is this easier now? That's because the people around you have unconsciously become curious about who you are. You are seen everywhere, confidently going through the entire space. People want to satisfy that curiosity about who you are. This is one of the reasons why people start making eye contact with you now and start talking to you quickly. And that is much easier than addressing someone yourself. But it goes further because of course you can't just wait for it to be addressed. Let's go back to the anchors for a moment. You know that there are a number of people in the audience who already know you from the entrance. These people are probably still a bit searching or talking to a colleague or still busy with their first contact and are not getting any further. Because you recognize them and they recognize you, all you have to do is step in their direction and extend your hand and they will be happy to speak to you. Why? Simply because people recognize you from those few moments at the entrance and because they are happy to talk to someone who comes across as a friendly person. From now on the snowball will start rolling. While everyone is still entering and finding their way, you are already in the picture with the organization and the audience present and in conversation with your first new contact. If your new contact knows other people present on the spot or if there are people in your neighborhood, extending a hand and introducing each other is a breeze. People will be a bit surprised by your initiative, but that doesn't matter. After all, everyone is there to make contacts. Among the audience you have a number of other anchors, those recognizable people from the entrance that you can approach. If you do this you will have easily exchanged your ticket with a dozen people within the first half hour. And in doing so you contribute in a pleasant way to bringing in contact with many others who might otherwise have much more difficulty with this. Why is it best to come in alone even if you are together? Networking has a high sociability character. They are always social gatherings and the temptation soon arises to replace networking with a little coffee with nice people. One of those nice people who can get in the way of your networking efficiently is often your own colleague or business partner with whom you go to the meeting. Going together feels good, of course. Is cozy and keeps you in your comfort zone. But that's exactly the problem. You come to make new contacts and together you enjoy each other's work in a pleasant way. How often do you see two colleagues staying together for the entire duration of the meeting? What do you think is the result of that precious time spent? That result is never more than half of what they could achieve as loners. They speak to the same people when they are not talking to each other. They therefore also receive a business card from the same new contacts. And when they talk to each other, they close themselves off to people who want to get in touch with them, but don't want or dare to interrupt them. So what should you do when you're together? Go to the meeting together but enter separately. Act as two separate persons. By acting independently of each other, the number of new contacts is more than doubled instead of halved. You make sure that you talk to the other people than your partner has been talking to. You make twice as much impression on the organizer because he is now addressed by two people with a word of thanks and the question what can be done for him. The recognition of your company name is doubled among the public because people now see and hear your company name appear twice as often. Going to network meetings together has great advantages if there is an audience of more than 50 people. If there are fewer, go alone. You can handle that easily. Especially if you use the knowledge and insights from this book in the right way. Just a look back. As I write this, my mind wanders to how we as business partners have done this over the past year. We, that's Peter Klink and Lisbeth Pack with our company ehbodus.nl. To my right are two boxes with I estimate a total of about 500 business cards from new contacts that I made in 2011. And then not even all of 2011 because it really only started after our first visit to an Open Coffee Domstad network meeting. The number of contacts is much more because we do not have a card for everyone. With many we only exchanged our LinkedIn mentions. When I'm at Lisbeth's office, there is also a box with business cards nicely sorted per meeting. I think there are more than 500. It brings me back in my mind to all those meetings where we went separately. Once back together, we exchanged information about the contacts we had made. For example, we saw our network grow with numbers that you could never achieve so quickly on your own. And that was only from the physical networking. That is separate from the expansion of our network via social media including LinkedIn. Summary. Once you've set your goal, you'll know how many people you want to get in touch with. And you will know who specifically you want to connect with. You now know that when you arrive the networking has started. You now know that you are going to behave courteously and greet everyone in your immediate environment with a sympathetic look and friendly greeting, nod or short word. When you are inside, you will often meet the staff of the location first. Greet them kindly. Show interest in what they do and give a friendly word of thanks for the good reception. The people you meet around the entrance become anchors for you or people you can easily contact a little later. By entering alone, your chances of new contacts are more than doubled. If you are together, perform separately. Make as many contacts as possible with people other than your partner. You make a tour of the location and ensure recognition by the public. You immediately look for the organizing host or hostess, introduce yourself and thank him, her for this meeting and a good networking opportunity for all entrepreneurs. You indicate which person or people from a specific industry you hope to speak to that are important to you. Conclude by asking what you can do for the organizer. You do this briefly. And as for the person important to you that you want to talk to? Don't be surprised if the organizer comes to visit you, especially to introduce you to him. What comes next? Chapter 3, Business Cards.